Not a lot of people know that we have a literacy crisis in our country and that our national reading rates for children as young as fourth grade are showing that we only have about 30% proficiency. Only about 3 in 10 of them know how to read. If you don't know how to read when you're in third grade or fourth grade, you are not going to magically learn how to read before you hit middle school or graduate from high school, if you're even going to persist to graduate from high school.
Why aren't kids learning how to read?
There has been a misconception in K-12 education that learning to read just magically happens by placing beautiful books in front of kids and telling them to guess words or use pictures to try to figure out what the words are. That is how so many classrooms were teaching kids to read. And yet, what the research shows is that learning to read is not natural. It doesn't magically happen. It's not something like learning to speak. The thing about oral language is that our brains have evolved such that speaking is a very natural process, which is why our toddlers might walk around using certain colorful words that we didn't actually teach them, but they probably overheard us entrepreneurs using in one of our many meetings. Learning to read is not like that. Our brains have not evolved to the point that reading is natural. We have to literally hardwire the brain to be able to look at a word like passage or a sentence or a phrase, passage to profit, and automatically be able to read it. And there's a process for doing that. So little kids need to learn to crack the code. They have to learn that these squiggly lines are letters, that each letter makes a specific sound, and that you then begin to put those letters and sounds together to read words that are increasingly complex, and to then read sentences, and then to read paragraphs.
What's the solution?
Here's the good news, a little bit of optimism, is that there is a lot of policy happening right now that is mandating that school systems abandon these ineffective strategies, that they adopt evidence-based reading curriculum, and that they train teachers to use these programs. That is necessary, and it is not sufficient, because the other layer of this is that all of our brains are different. And when you're a classroom teacher, when you're a parent, that is what makes teaching and parenting so special, maybe also a little bit maddening. And you can't just teach one lesson and then assume that you're done, because the different learners in the room in front of you, their brains may need different things. I'll give you an example. So the letter S makes the sound S. The letter H makes the sound H. And when you put S and H together, they make one sound, sh. Okay, when you're a little kid, that is downright mind-blowing. For some kids, you can be taught that one time, and then you can start practicing sounding out some words that have that sh sound. They can learn that once, they can practice it, it's mapped to the brain, and then they can start reading words like ship and shack. For other kids, they might need to have this explicit direct instruction 10 times, other kids 100 times, other kids 1,000 times before it is automatic. And so a one-size-fits-all lesson is not going to work, and the solution is that we have to stop approaching teaching and learning with the factory model that we had at the beginning of education hundreds of years ago, right? We have to leverage technology. We have to differentiate instruction, and we have to give our babies exactly what they need as learners when they need it so that they learn to read on time.